I'll tell you, if you're I mean, the addiction to pre-workout right now for me is the new launch that just came from ANN, well, AN
Yeah.
Nutrition. Uh, when they came over and did the shoot over at Unique, we they gave me a decent sample, and
Yeah.
it's a stim-free one, so I like it because there's no caffeine, but it's a fuck ton of other,
Oh, yeah.
but it's good stuff. All right, so with that being said, obviously no mics in front of us. Hopefully, if I get this thing to stay on right properly this time, we're actually going to have the best audio that we've ever had on this podcast. And
Nice.
no better way to introduce the new setup. Basically, it's also multiple camera angles, by the way. You got your own little
Yep.
personal camera right there. I got mine right here. It's finally something that is fully in effect. But yeah, no better way to introduce a whole new setup and a whole new audio than I'll let him introduce himself over here.
Yep. Name's Billy Richards. And a little bit about myself. I run like a lot of endurance events and everything, though. I've been doing it since about 2010. I served twice in the military. I was in the Marine Corps first. I was there from 99 to '03. And then I did a second term in the Army after that from
Cool.
2009 to 2012. And yeah, I went in to be Special Forces, didn't work out, finished out with the 82nd Airborne. And in between that, I started as a personal trainer back in June of 2005. And on and off with the military in between, I've been doing it ever since. So I've worked at Bally's, I've worked at Gold's, multiple locations. I've worked at New York Health and Racket Club out in the city, New York Sports Club out in the city, and then now, then I went back to Gold's, then to Fit Life, and now I'm at Unique. So
Bounce around literally everywhere.
oh yeah, well I've been on and off for 20 years, so it kind of happens.
I mean, so you talked a little bit about your military experience, and as far as your time in the Marine Corps, what made you go back into the Army once you got out? Because most of the time when people get out of the military, they don't go back in, they don't re-sign. What made you want to re-sign into the Army, aside from the Special Forces? Was there anything else that was calling to you?
Well, I kind of missed it. I mean, I had gotten out. I had no intentions of going back in, So, I got out. I was a personal trainer, and I was actually, I actually ran this little, like, weight loss type thing. It was like a little project. That's why, my email is projectbilly2918. So back at the end of 2008, I came up with this idea just to kind of show my clients like that it can be done. I came up with the idea to make myself as fat as humanly possible by the end of 2008. And then in the beginning of 2009, like the first week of January, I figured I'd shred down and document the process. And I did it through, back in the day, like MySpace and like YouTube and everything like that, though. But I called it Project Billy.
Jesus Christ.
So I didn't originally have a start and end date behind it, but it ended up lasting about like 13 weeks. So within 13 weeks, I cut down about 70, 80 pounds, something like that. So I went from being like nice and plump to shredded. If I knew this was going to be a topic of discussion, I would have brought pictures.
Well,
But,
you can always send me pictures, and I could probably just post them onto here as well. Or at least post like little things in the captions in the bottom.
Yeah, but not to sound like I'm steering off topic, but towards the end of that, I started to theme my workouts a little bit, though. So, like, the last week, I came up with this, like, death and destruction type workout.
Of course you did.
And I threw my old camouflage uniform back on, and I did face paint and everything. I tiger striped it, whatever. But then I sat there, and I was looking in the mirror, and I saw, the Richards name tape along with the U.S. Marines on there. And I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go back. I'm not really getting anywhere in life and everything like that. So my original intent was to go back in the Marine Corps, but I had a 5-year break in service, and the thing with the Marine Corps is if I was during my if I was before my end of service obligation, like the you do 4 years active, 4 years inactive.
Yeah.
I probably could have just jumped right back in, but my end of service obligation passed in 2007 and is now 2009. So I went down to a recruiter. They were like, well, you got out as an E5, so we don't really need you. We don't have numbers for you. Your MOS isn't, because I was an 0311. So I'm like, well, it has recon there. Can I just go for the in-dock? And worst case, I fail. I'm back as an 0311. And he's like, well, we could do that for you, but then you notice I have like tattoos, so I rolled my sleeves up. And he's like, well, I'd have to have you sign a waiver for all those tattoos, but we'd have to get the local commanding officer to approve it.
Oh my God.
So needless to say, and then there was a bunch of stuff like that.
Fucking pencil neck bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. So needless to say, I waited a few days, and then they denied it. So then I'm like, you know what? I want to be a Navy SEAL. So then I went to the Navy recruiter, and I went there, and they took us down to the pool. And, I didn't do too bad, though, but at the same time, they were trying to teach us how to, like, side stroke and everything. My technique was all jacked up, whatever. But, as I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll try the Special Forces route, because I heard, like, a lot of, Marines go and do that after they're done and everything. So, I mean, with Special Forces, I figure with that, I could have even used it towards more things, like maybe possibly gotten into the CIA afterwards, because there's like almost like a direct connection there, so yeah, because my history is probably a little loose though, but there used to be something in the government, there used to be a government agency way back in the day called the OSS. I don't remember what it stands for, but to prevent the OSS from getting too powerful, they split it into two branches. One was the CIA, and the other was Special Forces.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Now I'm starting to. Now my history nerd is starting to take off a little bit. I know the era that you're talking about. I know, but I don't know exactly. I don't know I didn't even know it was actually a thing. I thought it was just a branch off, and then that was just two separates.
Yeah, well, that was probably like just before Vietnam time, because that's about when Green Berets like started the surface and everything.
Right.
So like I said, like my history is not the greatest.
I mean, I'm not the greatest history nerd, but I do have an appreciation for history. But yeah, I know the era that you're talking about though, because that's also the same era where the CIA was doing also a lot of the other secretive shit that was not necessarily even recognizable by what the government was supposed to. Yeah, a lot of shit.
Well, basically, they took the tactical side out of the CIA to prevent them from becoming like too powerful, even though they still probably do have tactical units that we're not supposed to know about. I would not be
surprised at all whatsoever. No, don't ask, don't tell, and all the entire secrecy of that era, it's still around. It's just better hidden this time.
Yeah, because even when I was, even like when I first got out, there's units that we don't even know about, and that we're probably not supposed to know about.
Well, so and then you went into the Army. What was your experience like in the Army? Because most of the time it's a mixed experience when they transition from one branch to another branch. I've had a couple of buddies who went from the Marine Corps and then did the reserves, and so it was a completely different lifestyle and completely different standard physically as well.
Yeah.
So is that something that you also found as well when you transitioned over?
Well, I didn't really know what to expect at first though, because I mean, when I went over there, I went in as an E5. They let me get all my rank back because I was going SF. If I would have did any other job title, I probably would have gotten reduced. But so I went in the 18 X-ray program. So I get there, not really knowing what to expect. They didn't tell me anything. When I get down to Benning and talk to the Special Forces liaison, he's like, "Okay, so you have a 6-year break in service, so you need to get an MOS qualification first before you go through the pipeline." So they started me off like around week 5 of infantry OSET because I needed a rifle qualification. So they basically started me out like at the end of white phase, which was kind of interesting, because I mean, I was, but there was a bunch of us that were prior service in there. And
they didn't care though. They still treated you like as if you were another one, or did they have at least a little bit of leniency? Because when I went through OSET with the MP school over down in Leonardwood, I had somebody who was in the Air Force and who was transitioning over. A guy was in his 40s, and he had a little bit more of a different standard versus what the other the rest of us were.
Well, it depended on what mood they were in.
They had typical
and
drill,
we actually
typical
had,
drill sergeant
we actually
shit.
had 2 E5s in our platoon though, because they still they still let prior service in. Well, both of us were under the 18 X-ray program. He was actually an MP that was coming back in, but as part of the I don't remember if he made it through the entire program or not, because I know he was. I think he recycled once too. But the thing about it is, though, is like if you're an 18 X-ray, but you had an MOS qualification, they still made you do the infantry part of OSET, but they still gave you your old job back if you failed out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so at least that's what they did back then.
How long ago was that now?
That was 2009 I went back in, so I went through selection 2010.
It's got to be a completely different system by now.
Oh, absolutely, though, and the Q course changes all the time. So, I mean, when I went through, we did, we went infantry OSET, then we went airborne school, then we went to, they still called it SOPSI, even though the acronym was SFPC at the time, which stood for Special Forces Preparation and Conditioning. So that was just like a 3-week course to get you in shape. And then you had a little week of rest holdover. Then you went to Special Forces selection. And then after selection, they gave you a little bit of recovery. And then from there, you went to what was called CLT, which was Common Leader Training. So it's kind of like a hybrid between ANOC and BNOC. So you learn all your leadership, big Army stuff, which SF doesn't go by anyway. But you don't get the full qualification until we didn't get the full qualification for ANOC, BNOC until we finished small unit tactics, and that's pretty much where it stopped in my course. But with CLT, since Special Forces doesn't really go too much by Army standards anyway, they pretty much hazed us for 3 weeks. And yeah, like there was a lot of funny stuff. I mean, it was, mostly they just PT'd us all day, and then
of course,
See,
that's during the time frame also that the PT was probably also a time frame of like was that still the beat the shit out of you until because when I was in during basic, that was when they finally had like that's the leniency, like they weren't allowed to hit, they weren't allowed to really.
Oh no, basic was very cheesy. It was very easy, because I went through Marine Corps boot camp in 1999.
That's a totally different fucking hellhole.
Yeah, in Marine Corps boot camp, we weren't allowed to break like our bearing whatsoever for 13 weeks. You were like a robot. You know what I'm saying? Like from the moment you woke up till the moment you went to bed.
Yeah, I remember. I'll never forget when I had a good friend of mine when he first graduated, right before I was just about to ship out. He came back home for his 2 weeks. The first night, he got up, right at attention, right at the edge of his bed. Scared the fuck out of me. I was just like, what the fuck? I was like, oh shit. Oh, he's still in routine. He goes, dude, I swear to God. I was like, I swear to God, I was back in fucking basic again. You have no idea.
Yeah. No, you, the first couple of weeks you had done with basic training out of the Marine Corps, you're like traumatized. You pretty much have.
You don't know how to be a human at that point.
Yeah, you don't. Whereas like the Army, it was like day camp. I mean, comparably speaking, I mean, I didn't go through red phase, so I didn't see that part of it.
It's just a bunch of screaming.
Yeah,
that's really all it was.
So the Army's red phase is pretty much like 13 weeks in the Marine Corps. Yeah, because it was like that the entire time, pretty much. Like you weren't, even like eating, you had to be feet 45 degree under the table, left hand, left knee. You were only allowed to use your right hand. Oh shit! So like if you had something like a chicken, trying to stab that with a fork, and then you're not allowed to look around. You had to look straight ahead. You know what I'm saying? So you're sitting there like this. Food's dropping off and you can't do anything about it.
Now, did they make you chug down a cup of water before you ate? Because for us, like in Chow, you immediately, when you sat down, you had to sling down your water, and then you were allowed to eat the rest of your food, and then you were able to sip on your other stuff.
Well, we had the down like 2 canteens before we left. I mean, the chow hall was pretty much like right across. And then that's when we had our like mandatory head calls. So like throughout the day. We used to try to hold our bathroom breaks till around chow time, though, because we usually got denied anyway. Because in the Marine Corps, you weren't allowed to talk in the first person at all. Everything had to be third person. Then you had to request permission to speak before you talk. And then usually if you asked to make a head call, you get denied. Like if you didn't piss your pants at least once a day, you weren't in the Marine Corps, or in the Marine Corps boot camp, And our platoon, if we wanted to go take a dump, we had to do 10 pull-ups first.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so, or if we didn't have that ability, we would have to chicken wing the bar and hold on to our belt, look at it wedged under our armpits and just hang there. So thankfully I was able to do 10 pull-ups.
And then go take a shit.
Yeah. And then you had, they had time limits on it and everything. And,
oh, man, the fuck
and then
games is wild.
the PT showers were great. So with the PT shower, after you got done with PT, everyone would get online like with their towels on, and you would go in. All the shower heads would be turned on. Mm-hmm. We didn't have hot water the entire cycle; they shut it off on us.
Cold water.
So you would literally take your towel off, hold it out in your left hand, walk under each shower head, put it back on, and then go back to your rack and then get dressed. That was what you call the PT shower. So we did that after we were done with PT.
Oh, fuck. Dude,
yeah.
Like, it really is a completely different ball game now with all that shit. Like, even...
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't imagine... Like, but also, that created a different generation of warriors, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, too, the Army and the Marine Corps are different. Marine Corps, they have the reputation first to go, last to know, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's blindly following orders where, like, the Army, like, there's a little bit more thinking involved. You know what I'm saying, though?
Not by much, though.
Not by much.
Not by much.
But, I mean, like...
There is definitely more strategy versus just duck your head and run and shoot.
Well, also too though, I mean that also varies from job to job though, because even like the Special Forces route, which I was going, you have your Rangers, your SEALs, whatever, who are like door kickers, who are taking out specific targets, but then you have your SF guys who it's like their primary jobs like foreign internal defense, which basically means you meet up with the locals, you win them over, you train them to fight, they go out and do their thing, and then the U.S. denies that they were ever involved. So that's pretty much what SF does. I mean, like when I was in, they said we had operators in like 105 different countries, I think, when I was in. So we start and finish everything in the world.
Oh my God!
I mean, I don't know if I should be saying that on a podcast.
I mean, it's
nothing I'm saying here is classified.
No, there's nothing classified there about that at all whatsoever. I mean, it's on the fucking History Channel for all we know, with all the stuff that they're talking about now and all the stuff that's constantly being declassified. Like, obviously, just recently with them declassifying JFK, MLK, and all these stuff that's happened behind that bar. Sooner than later, I believe within our time frame, we're going to find something else more about September 11th as well that we didn't know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty. There's probably something going on.
There's so much more that's going on there. Well, actually, not to bring that up, also, but you were in during that time frame when it happened.
Yes,
initially.
it was.
What was the energy? What was the energy like when the initial it officially is declared that we are under attack? What is the atmosphere like when you're in?
It was a complete 180 because before 9/11, the military was very chill. I mean, you had all your garrison games. We had the spit-shine boots and the press uniforms.
Right.
And they really enforced that kind of stuff. Like no putting your hands in your pockets, no.
The dumbest thing in the world.
Yeah, the dumbest stuff.
Literally the dumbest stuff. But, especially when it's cold and you can't put your hands in your fucking pockets. What do you want to get frostbite on my hands?
Oh yeah, they don't care.
No, they don't care.
And then if you go and you bring your gloves down to formation, if one person doesn't have them, everyone has to take them off because everyone has to look the same.
Yeah, they were the Scullies. It was the same. Yeah, I fucking remember that shit. And I hated the motherfucker that always forgot them because then the winter PTs. If someone forgot the one piece of winter PTs, well, guess what? Everyone's stripped down to your summer PTs.
Yep.
If you don't have your summer PTs on underneath, somebody's getting fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue. I'm sorry. So the energy when the initial strike happens, and then the initial declaration that the United States has officially been under attack.
Yeah. So I had actually just gotten back from deployment in May. So my
Where
unit
you deployed at?
It was just a Mediterranean float.
Okay.
Because the Marine Corps during peacetime, they go in cycles. So when a unit gets their boot camp drop, they're getting ready for a deployment. So usually they'll have a 6-month workup, 6-month deployment, and then the next 6 months, all the higher ups get out, or all your leadership does. So all your team leaders, squad leaders, they usually EAS or Army terminology ETS. They all get out. So then during that period of time, the unit's pretty much depleted. So they send all the junior guys that were on that deployment to all their schools. Like your corporal's course, your sergeant's course, your team leader course, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then they get, it's kind of like a downtime. If people want to take leave, they'll let them take leave. Stuff like that. So they get them ready to be leaders, and then they end up getting another boot camp drop, and then the cycle just continues. So usually with the East Coast with Camp Lejeune, the way it would work is you would have two. You would come in, you would spend your entire enlistment with that one unit. You would do a med float, and then you would do an Okinawa deployment, and then you were out. And you would run through that same cycle twice. And then if you re-enlisted, that's when you would change units or go do a B billet or something like that. Where you might do like recruiting duty or whatever.
Is that something you thought about doing at one point, recruiting duty?
Not really. I mean, I would have had to re-enlist for that if I wanted that. And not only that, though, I heard they work those guys, especially in the Marine Corps, they work them like dogs.
I fully believe it, because they're at every single event, they're at every single school, they're at it.
Yeah, they're like salesmen with like a quota they have to hit. And it's
pretty fucked.
I mean, with the Marine Corps, though, they usually don't have trouble with like enlistment. It's more, I think retention. It's more or less like retention.
Well, that's just the military. We'll get back to that conversation in a little bit, because that's definitely a conversation I do want to have, because of the amount of, including myself, soldiers that didn't retain, and military personnel that haven't re-upped their contracts. But we'll go back down to that conversation later on. But continue on with the atmosphere of what it was like during September 11th.
So I had just gotten back from deployment. Unit was emptied out, and I was in 0311, so I was rifle infantry, and the deployment I did go on, I was in headquarters because they had this thing called the MSPF. It doesn't exist anymore, but it stood for a Maritime Special Purpose Force. So basically that it considered of a direct action element, which was your force recon, then an RNS element, recon and surveillance, so that was like your sniper teams, and then you would have a security element, which is where they grabbed a bunch of grunts, threw us in a platoon to do security, and then that was my main job. So, like before that deployment, we worked more with like the special operations side, even though we were just infantry. So we had all the specialized training. We shot like thousands of rounds a day, like, with CQB and stuff like that.
Stuff.
We did a lot of cool shit, it was, being that I was detached from my, because I was originally with Bravo Company, and then I shifted over to H&S. So H&S is where that, your headquarters and support. After I got done with my deployment, they took a bunch of us from the platoon and left us back with H&S. So I got the luxury of being a training NCO. So, so like after what a training NCO does is just tracks training data. And my platoon sergeant kind of hooked me up with that, though, because everyone else got sent back to the line. But he knew I liked to go hit the gym, and he knew if I got sent back to a line platoon, I'd just be spending the entire week out in the field. So because I did a good job,
put you to better use.
Yeah, he's like, look, I'll keep you back with H&S. You could be the training NCO. You could track training data and stuff, because basically those clerical jobs in the company office, they usually have your grunts do them because people with special MOSs, they have special skills. But at the same time, though, I pretty much got really good at like tracking spreadsheets. And then during the time 9/11 happened, I was actually TAD'd or TDY, whatever you want to call it. There's different terms for different, But they had me out at a community college taking like a Microsoft Office class. And I was in there with a sergeant major and a bunch of other people. And we're sitting there, and somebody's like, well, the towers got hit. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh, shit. So you're in the middle of... Okay.
Yeah, and then we all kind of sat there. We didn't know what the hell was going on. And then all of a sudden, a couple of hours later, they're like, yeah, we just heard on the news the Pentagon was crashed into. And that's when the sergeant major was like, I think we should all go back to our units now. Because that's when it was like, something's going on here. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
So... Back in the day, they used to have, they had their little threat condition levels. You're familiar with it, like normal, alpha, bravo, Charlie, delta. So we were at threat condition normal. So threat condition normal meant like the base was very chilled out and relaxed. You needed a base sticker to get in. They didn't check your ID. They just waved you in if you had a base sticker. And then from the hours of 5 to 9 in the morning, because of the flow of traffic, they had an open gate. So anyone could just go in through the gate they wanted. So we went from threat condition normal to threat condition delta within a matter of minutes.
Oh, shit.
So threat condition delta is when you have vehicle searches on everybody, random checkpoints in base where they have random vehicle searches. So I got out of this class though, and the line was like wrapped all the way down the town. So I called my command and I'm like, hey, I can't get back. And they're like, oh, that's fine. We know where you are. Just go crash out in town somewhere. So I stayed at a buddy's place out in town. And then one of our companies, Charlie Company, they were on air alert. So our unit was depleted, but you still have something called air alert, and then there's different increments.
Okay.
So the companies rotate out. So when you're on alpha increment, you're the guys that you have your gear stage ready to go at all times. So these guys, they put them on the buses. They sent them down to Cherry Point, which is the air station that's near Camp Lejeune. And they get in there and they're like, well, we don't even know where to send you. Because like nobody really knew what was going on yet. There wasn't that much. There wasn't any. Because we were like in like dead peacetime. Nobody knew anything.
It's not like you have the social media aspect of what we have today, where you're able to see exactly what the hell is going on in all aspects around that area.
Oh yeah, no, there was no social media back then, like no nothing. Like this was before like
the internet really like became the internet as far as like what we have today.
We had email, but that's about it. Like Friendster didn't exist, MySpace didn't exist. This was before all that.
Yeah, this is when the internet was mainly like a useful tool for a business rather than a personal life.
Yeah, because I think all the social media stuff started stemming up around 2003, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was like 03, 04 is when MySpace really became something, and MySpace and AOL.
Yeah, I think, AOL always had like the chat rooms and stuff like that, but it was... But yeah, those are just like a bunch of random usernames like throwing sentences out, and it's like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah.
But,
so now leading to the months after... obviously, we don't go directly into war from that happening. And during that time frame while you're in, do you notice a shift in the way that everything is starting to change, in the way that your leadership is acting, or in the way that just like the things are being held, and in the way that a different type of structure, a different type of planning that you guys normally do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, before 9/11, we were still all training like to fight Vietnam. So like we were still digging fighting holes, like patrol bases.
Still?
Like yeah. Well, this is like pre 9/11.
Okay.
So like after 9/11, it kind of changed. It started to get more. They started to like focus more on like like military operations or urban terrain. They started to get like a little bit more CQB based, which is close quarters battle, which is like back in the day though, like mountain CQB were a little different though. CQB was more, like failure to stop drills, 2 to the chest, 1 to the head, like basic room clearing tactics where mountain, it was a little bit different, a little bit more high speed.
Okay.
So. But yeah, like we didn't really spend that much in the urban realm of it until after like 9/11, and then we started, also too, the Marine Corps was never really that well funded. I think the Army got more for advertising than the Marine Corps got as a whole.
Yeah, I believe that shit.
So like even like my first deployment, we were still running around with like M16A2s that were like silver. And,
good God.
Recon got all the M4s and everything with the slide mounts and stuff like that.
That's understandable, but even still, if you're going to supply one branch with a sort of the form of artillery, you need to supply the rest of your fucking military with that. I'm sure it's not like that now. And as far as the way that we're spending on our military, it's actually, I don't care what anybody says, it's needed.
No, it's definitely needed though. Like
with the way this world is right now, especially, it's needed. I will never argue the fact of like what we need to be spending on as far as protecting our peace and protecting the world's peace.
Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly.
Because of the amount of training and stuff that goes into, getting these guys ready. Because anything could happen just at the snap of a finger, And
that's why it also makes me more confident about our country in itself. The only thing that I ever have any type of fear of anything within our country right now, of any being attack, it's not a physical attack, it's a cyber attack.
Yeah.
Like that's always been my number one thing as far as just like now, what is like the latest attack? 'Cause I don't really fear another September 11th ever happening unless government decides to do an inside job. Then that's a different story. But but I don't see something like that, like that type of catastrophic event happening on U.S. soil. No. But do I see something like an EMP possibly happening, and then our whole grid system goes down, and then now we all turn on each other? Absolutely, because we are already turning on each other at a time during a peace within our own country.
Yeah.
So the fact that it'll be that much easier when you're limiting resources, and then tribal mentality comes in, and then now everyone's got to defend for themselves.
Yeah, because it's already bad right now.
Especially on Long Island. Long Island, we're fucked. Like if that really does happen, we're extra fucked, because just trying to get off of Long Island in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah,
that's not even everybody leaving.
Well, not a perfect example. I did a race in Atlantic City yesterday. So I left on Friday.
Yeah, you psycho mother. I swear to God,
I left on Friday.
We're gonna get into your damn. You're gonna get into those freaking miles in a minute. But yes, yeah. Continue.
I left on Friday from Bayshore. It took me like 4 hours to get to the Verrazano Bridge. It was unheard of.
What time did you leave?
1:30 in the afternoon. That should not have happened. I have driven that route thousands and thousands of times between going up and down the coast with the Marine Corps and all the other race events and everything I've done, like after that and everything like that.
So it's for people that don't know, like in the middle of the day, or overnight especially, that's a 30-minute drive, if that.
Yeah.
Maybe. If you're going to speed limit.
Yeah, from Bayshore, 30 to 45 roughly. It took 4 hours.
4 fucking hours.
Yeah.
Jesus
I started to question it. I'm like, I should have just waited till Saturday morning and got up at 3 a.m. and just drove.
That's why no matter what, no matter where I'm traveling, it's going to be either at the ass crack of dawn or the latest part of the evening. I will not go through that city traffic anymore.
Well, also, too, though, I was reading the digital signs, and they did say New Jersey Transit was on strike right now.
Oh, well, so, that plays a major role. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Extreme role, because now you got that much more traffic on the road.
4 hours.
And there was only one little minor accident that had been pushed off the road already, and no.
Yeah, but then all the other main roads are closed, and then you got all the people going through the main way. Like Jesus Christ, that's
normally normally the Belt Parkway is not that bad. You get a couple stopping points here and there, but but the Belt Parkway is generally not bad. But one accident will shut that entire pipeline down. Like it's. That's why, like, regardless of whether if I know I'm going or not, I always run some kind of travel app like Google or Waze or something like that. Just to see if the road's still, because if they shut down that road, there's nowhere else to go.
It's a shame because, when you really think, well, not that it's a shame, it's annoying as fuck when you have areas like this where traveling out east, not a problem most times. Not a problem. Like, I can get around 21 miles within 15 minutes. 5 miles in the city takes me 35 to 40 fucking minutes.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
It's I don't understand. 1, we have the most amount of people, and 2, we pay the most.
Yeah.
How does that correlate? How does that even out? We should be paying the least because we have the most amount of people. The least amount of people states are the ones that should be paying the most because they don't got nearly as many people to serve as we do here, especially let alone Long Island. Long Island could be its own separate state, and we've been saying that for years. Because you got more people in Suffolk County than you got the entire state of Montana.
Well, they've been fighting that for years though, because also too, even like from a political standpoint, like Long Island politically is
totally red.
Yeah,
it's majority red. Yeah. Majority red. And
I think 55%. Like
the city, New York doesn't claim us. The city doesn't claim Long Island. You only got certain people out there that will claim Long Island. And it's like, fuck, we don't need to be in New York. We could be Long Island in itself because, not for nothing, this area it's had its own plenty of history and it has plenty of also opportunity. It's its own country within its island. Like really think of it this way: with the amount of you got the Queens, Brooklyn area down over there. Yes, Queens and Brooklyn is Long Island. I don't care what anybody else says. Like
I was just about to bring that up.
You guys are on Long Island. Yeah, you guys are on Long Island. You're not your separate little entity.
I used to have a friend from the military that was in Queens, and
and they're all the same way. Yeah, no, I'm not from Long Island. Look at geography.
I'm like, did we cross a body of water to get here? Oh, shut up.
Geographically wise, if you look on whatever English that is, look on the map. It's all on Long Island. You guys are on Long Island. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but you're on Long Island. But yeah, we have areas like that. Then you go a little bit more towards the middle area. Then you got the suburbs, and you also got some areas that have decent amount of money. Go a little bit more. Then you got the airport. You also have another areas, a couple areas, decent amount of money. Then you go more towards the North Shore. Then you got all farmland. You go towards the South Shore, out east more. You got the richest part of the fucking world. Yeah. And then you go way, 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 way out east, and you got one of the most historic landmarks in the United States.
Well, I tell people that like Long Island's kind of like the reverse of a sandwich. You know how you have the sandwich, you have all the good stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the Long Island, you have all the good stuff on the edges, and then you go to the middle, you have to worry about being shot or stabbed, and then when you know,
that's a fucking true.
Yeah. But the funny part is though is the like the areas, they never intermingle.
No.
Well, I live in Bayshore. Like I'm right off of Spur, so I'm just south of Southern
You're not
State.
that far away. I'm in Brentwood, so I'm on the North Shore. I'm right by the expressway.
Okay, yeah. So you're not far from me at all.
No.
Yeah, I live in that area right behind the South Shore Mall.
It's yeah. Oh, yeah. I know exactly where the hell you're at.
Yeah, Newbrook Garden Apartments. I live in that area.
I know exactly where that is. I literally just drive past there almost every now and then whenever I go out to the. Actually, I just went there yesterday. I went to the Cheesecake Factory with the family, so I just drove past that area. But damn, I didn't know you were that fucking close to me. Also,
no, and usually when I do my rucksack,
commute.
Well, oh yeah, well usually
It's like you probably take Sunrise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I take the expressway. You take Sunrise.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm right by.
Usually when I do my rucks, I do them like around the South Shore Mall though, because it's exactly a mile to get around each lap. You know, so you do multiple laps.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's like for me, it's like a half a mile walk down to the mall. And then it's like a mile. It's like about 0.9 and change, so it's like close to it though. But if you do the perimeter of the mall, it gets you about a mile. Huh. So like if I want to do like 3 miles, for example, I do 2 laps around the mall, outside of the mall.
Shit, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I literally been going to that mall since I was a kid. I did not know that.
And then during the day, there's not that much traffic there, so that's when I do most of my rucks and stuff, because I don't have to worry about getting hit by cars, because I'm just like right by the mall.
It's gonna be fucking hilarious. We're gonna go shopping one day. I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna see your fucking rucksack on.
Yeah, I haven't done it recently though, but like, yeah, generally like even in early morning rucks, I'll do that too. So, you know,
I gotta get into the early morning ruck thing again. I was doing that for a little bit, not like putting massive weight, just like 20 pounds on, and then just going out. It's one of the things that when I was in, like, I actually enjoyed. Like whenever we had to get up early for a ruck, I'm not complaining about that. I'd rather a ruck than a fucking company run.
Oh yeah, where you're going at that like brutally slow pace, and like you're just you're just destroying your knees and stuff, and like
especially when we were in a basic, we had my CO was freshly out of the Air Force.
Yeah.
All they did was just freaking run.
That's the one thing about the military. Like, I started working out when I was like 13 years old, so I started out as a kid. But my diet wasn't in check, obviously, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I kind of kept to myself. I was like a severe introvert. I didn't talk to anybody, so nobody really even knew I worked out. My dad like dropped me off at the gym after school. I used to wear like extra large, like baggy clothes, so I just kind of remained hidden. Yeah. So then I come out, and then the Marine Corps kind of increased my confidence a little bit. So I started wearing like tighter clothes and stuff, and but everyone would always be like, "Oh, well, you're just in shape because you went in the military," and I'm like, "No, that's not what it is," like, because that's the one thing about the military too, though. Like, they take you to a standard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're with a regular unit. If you're with a specialized unit, they trust that you're a self-starter, so they let you PT on your own and you become a rock star. With a regular unit, it's the same thing. Everything, they bring you to a certain level. So if you're a couch potato, you get in better shape. If you're an all-star athlete, you get taken down a few notches. You know what I'm saying? Unless you go above and beyond and do that stuff on your own.
Well, but
then you border that line of overtraining all the time, and you're constantly broken.
Yeah,
so
it's just
it's
about
like,
to get to that. I could fully understand that shit, because as soon as I got out, well, before I went in, I actually started working at the front desk at a gym. I started working at Blink Fitness at the front desk because I had nothing else to do, and then I already had signed my contract. I had 5 months till I had to ship out, so I said, well, fuck it, I'll work at the front desk here, and I worked at ShopRite. Working at the gym, then I was talking with the trainer at the time, and I was picking his brain all the time, and I'm like, what is it like doing what you're doing, and how is it paying and all that stuff. He was fully honest. The industry was very, especially there in the middle of Brentwood, where people cannot even afford. And when I asked him how much to train with him, it's going to be $125 a week. So I was like, yeah, I definitely can't afford that at 19.
Yeah. So
I picked his brain as much as I could while I was there. And before I even shipped out, I started having those thoughts of like, do I really want to do this? Like, I think I actually really like the fitness industry a lot.
Yeah.
Well, said fuck it. I still went in. while being in basic training, I actually had a couple of good friends from basic because we had a little workout room. It's called the Kill Zone, and that's where everybody, well, the drill sergeants at the time would bring us all into that room and just make us do endless fucking burpees, endless fucking flutter
Okay.
kicks.
So that's kind of like the Marine Corps quarterdeck then.
Yeah, essentially,
Yeah.
yeah, they call it the Kill Zone. So we went into the Kill Zone, or it would be for deep heart-to-heart talks. Pull you in, say, like, private, so you guys really wanting to do this? Like, who here is really thinking about quitting right now? But after the downtime, when we have our own like hour to ourselves, there's some weights in there, so we were allowed to use the weights. We were allowed to train it, and from that point, I started taking some of the things I learned from the trainer, and I started adding it into the training then.
Yeah.
And I was like, this really sounds like something I could fucking do when I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Took me a little bit longer until I officially got out to say, yeah, I'm actually going to get my certification and do this thing full time. So it really does, what you were saying before, it helps either elevate your fitness level or it helps decrease your fitness level.
Oh yeah.
I was both, because towards the end of my contract, I was at my heaviest with alcohol and pill problem.
Yeah.
So once I got out and told my first sergeant that I wasn't going to resign, that I'm thinking of just taking my honorable and being done. And said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'm just going to go try to lose this weight. I'm going to go try to, go into the fitness industry. Good luck.
Yeah. Well, because they always put you in a deep amount of shame for getting out. Like they try to make you think you're going to be absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's like I'm basically making now what I would have been making if I was still in.
Yeah.
And I have my freedom, and I have total control, majority control over my schedule. And I also don't hate what I'm doing anymore. And I also don't have somebody who has a bigger belly with even worse knees, who has to walk the mile, who has a profile that does not even run the mile, tell me what to do, and tell me how to fix my life when he's already had 2 broken marriages.
Yeah.
Leadership in a nut hole in the military.
Yep. It's pretty much the same across the board. I mean, the Marine Corps is a little bit bigger on PT, though. There's like no like alternates.
Yeah, you guys were always held to a different standard. The Army is just it's totally different. Fucking unfortunately, it's a totally different standard. The amount of big backs you got in the fucking Army that are just consuming away. It's not even like they're eating all the shitty food. It's the amount of alcohol and beer that they're consuming, and it's not even training on their own. Like most of the time, like unless you have like an actual high speed unit where they're on top of your fitness, most of the time you just get fat when you're in the Army. Or you just get fatter later on in your career.
I mean, that's pretty much the same across the board with all military. You know what I'm saying?
I really do see like fatter Marines. Like when it comes to like, Navy, a little bit because you guys, there's nothing else to do besides sit on the fucking ship and eat.
Well, Marine Corps depends. I mean, everything depends on your unit. I mean, like usually with like an infantry unit, they'll make it mandatory that you do some form of PT every morning.
Right.
So like even if you're in the headquarters part of it, like they'll always have you, but that's up to your leadership. Like every Monday they might do a company run. Every Friday they might do a battalion run. But in between that, it's all up to the sectional leader, like leadership for that. If you're in an infantry platoon, everything's about ego. So it's like, oh, let me see how badly I can crush my guys this morning.
That's another part where like we're like now bringing up the retention part. It's one of the main reasons why I strongly feel that we're no longer retaining anyone really. I don't think I have a single one of my friends from high school. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 that are still in the service. And now I graduated. Now this June will make it 11 years ago, and it's sad because there's so much potential in the military becoming a career for most people. But the sad part is that you got the weak leadership that's in charge right now that's making it worse for individuals versus making it into a place where they want to make it a career. Yeah. Like you don't need to be this drill sergeant type leader the entire fucking career. You don't need to be feared your entire career either. Like I understand like there's a certain level of respect that needs to be like held, and there's a certain standard that's always met and that needs to be met and maintained. But you also don't need to be such a dick about everything.
No, you don't.
You don't need to be an asshole. You don't need to take away your marital problems on your platoon. You don't need to take your platoon problems out on your marital issues either. A lot of these weak, egotistical men that are in charge are the reasons why there's no soldiers that are staying in anymore. That they're just saying, fuck this. If this is what it's like, I'm not going to get out. I'm not going to stay in anymore. Like, what's worth 20 years to sit here and be talked to like this? Like,
Yeah.
I get it also. It comes to a point where it's like, yeah, you're in the military, but you're also not in basic training 24/7. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're still human. Like, we're trained soldiers, you're trained killers at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Yes, no matter what, that's the end point. But at the end of the day, the very, very, very end of the day, they're humans. And
Exactly.
you need to talk to your men and women like humans. You can't make them just constantly feel like they're in the wrong. They're constantly can't do anything right. They're constantly fucking up. They're constantly feeling like
Yeah.
shit. Even if they do everything right and to the T, you're still gonna give them shit. You're still gonna make them
Yeah.
fucking push. You're still gonna. There's what's the benefit in that other than creating a sense of fear that then creates a lack of soldiers, which then creates a lack of a military.
Well, you want to draw like the respect out of your people, which doesn't mean like yelling and screaming though too. Like, because the thing about it is though is like if like if like most people think the military is all threats and this and that, but like like this even applies to the civilian world as well. If you threaten people, you're going to get the bare minimum out of them. They're going to do whatever. They're not going to go above and beyond for you. They'll go above and beyond for you if they respect you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you set the example and you show them what you want to be, and then you show them that you got their back when something goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? Though, like versus them being like afraid of losing their job. Because the minute you throw fear out there or anything like that, they're going to do the bare minimum they need to keep their job, and then they're going to give you nothing more.
Yep, and it's very true.
Yeah.
In especially when it comes down to people who are good at their job.
Yeah.
In particular, like I don't want to suck my own dick with all this shit, but back in the military, one of the top shots in my company, always volunteered to help. Always was there to be there a day earlier for if we needed to go over to a different, if we needed to go to Fort Dix, or if we needed to go to Camp Edwards, Massachusetts, or if we needed to go to Fort. Oh my God. Wow, I'm blanking on fucking one that's all the way up north. Wow.
Fort Drum?
Yes, Fort Drum. Yeah.
I don't even know how I knew that.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I could know that one.
Yeah.
But always showed up.
10th mount, right? Or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. Those fucking, yeah, those. I drove past. I went there one day. Well, we went there for a weekend, and thank God I never got stationed there because that's a place where I could not fathom living with the way that I couldn't breathe.
No,
The elevation
cold
up there, and as cold it is. Cold, I can tolerate cold, but not like to that bone chilling cold where it's majority of the year. But like the only thing that was wrong with me at that time was my partial tear in the ACL and my LCL.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to fully run. On my last PT test, I had to run in a brace, and then I ended up throwing up because of the fucking pain.
Yeah.
So then they stopped my test, and then they black flagged me.
Well, I remember we had a couple of PT sessions in the Q course, and this is where leadership comes into play. So, like in the Q course, when you're during the language phase, because you're trained to be an independent operator, though, so they let the students take over the leadership part of it. So we had this one team leader. I'll never forget him. As Staff Sergeant Weathers, but we had to do PT outside and everything. Though it came down from the cadre, they ordered us to do it, and it was like 10 degrees outside. So we're doing PT outside. We're going like 5 minutes go by. He immediately shouts out. He's like, "All right, fuck this shit. I'll take the hit for this. This is stupid. It's pointless. You guys are going to get destroyed if you stay out here. Just go back to your room, shower, and then go to class."
Real leaders, real leadership.
Yeah.
Fucking love that.
Exactly.
Love that. That's real leadership.
Yeah. Real leader, if you
gotta eat the shit in the moment, you gotta eat the shit in the moment. But if you're doing what's best for your team at the end of the day, you're doing what's best for your team.
Because like sometimes there's like a little line, and the military is like, okay, we're weeding out the weak. It's like, okay, but are you really weeding out the weak, or are you destroying good people?
Yes,
you know what I'm saying, though?
Exactly.
Okay, so perfect example, when I transitioned out of the Q course and into the 82nd, this is right around the time where the military inherited CrossFit.
Oh shit!
All right, so the thing behind CrossFit,
Still recording. Oh yeah.
yeah. So the thing behind CrossFit, I mean, I had a level 1, but that was back in 2012, so I don't know if the system changed or whatever. But CrossFit are supposed to be like short, high intensity workouts. So now you take a hardcore unit like the 82nd. They take the CrossFit mentality, but it's like, yeah, but it's mandatory that you PT for 90 minutes every morning. So what do you think happens? All of a sudden, the injury rate goes up. So now the medical officer goes to the battalion commander. He's like, hey, look, sir, we can't keep doing this, though, because we're hurting people. So then the commanding officer's like, okay, well, I outrank you, and they're going to do that.
And that's literally like that right
Yes.
there. That right there is the little weak, egotistical,
Yes.
small dick syndrome type leadership.
And that's
that
exactly when he
fucking
goes
hate.
and says, we're just weeding out the weak. And it's like, no, you're not.
No,
You
you're
can't
destroying the souls of your good soldiers at the end
You
of the day.
can't turn a 21-15-9 into a 90-minute workout. It's like, dude, like it's not, your body's not designed for that.
No, and not for nothing. Also, like,
Yeah.
I mean, CrossFit is great in its own sense when it's taught properly.
Yeah.
And also when when you're not doing everything with ridiculous emphasis on your fucking fucked up form.
Yeah.
Like
I think
there's
it
more
has its
injuries in
purpose.
CrossFit than
Yeah.
there is in any other sport or any other competition field in general.
Well, not to mention though, a clean and jerk's not to be done 30 times for time, 30 reps for time.
Yeah, 30 fucking that statement alone is enough to say what the fuck are you doing?
I forgot what girl wad that was.
That's still wild. Like the genuine
Yeah.
fact that someone's making you do a clean and jerk 30 fucking times for a time rep. Like no, I'm sorry.
I
Like
forgot.
that's just asinine.
I forgot what wad that was though, because all their benchmark wads are named after girls because they make you sweat, they make you run out of breath, and they put you on your back.
Fucking
Yeah, that's coming directly from Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit. That's why
fuck.
CrossFit standard your Fran time, which is just 21-15-9 thrusters and kipping pull-ups. But that's why it's called Fran because nothing can make you sweat or
no.
Yeah.
No. That's a funny. I never.
That's why
never
all
heard that before.
I mean, the hero wads are different though because those are all named after heroes. But like your benchmark wads are all named after girls because they
had you on your back.
they make you out of breath and put you on your back.
So speaking of being out of breath and laying on your fucking back, so let's talk about all these damn miles that you're running. So outside of the over 700 races that you've done holding the American flag, you're about to go down this next journey in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
So
17 days to be exact.
So let's talk a little bit about that, just because I do want a good portion of this to be posted so that people know exactly what's going on in 2 weeks, and then also how can we promote it more, how can we fund more, and what can we do to help, and if there's anything that if anyone that's listening on here can do, little things like that. Is anything? But let's talk a little bit about what you got going up in about 17 days.
All right, so a little background. While I was in the Army, I got into like doing like a lot of endurance events because I was in the Q course. We had weekends off. There was really nothing to do, so I started running marathons and stuff like that. But after I got out of the military, it was 2012. I really didn't have a purpose. I just I was like riddled with like anger issues and stuff like that. So I got to the point where I was just doing thankfully I never got into drugs or anything. I did drink occasionally, and when I did drink, I got blackout drunk, but I never...
As most of us did when we were in the
Yeah,
Army.
I never really had a problem per se, because I only did it when my friends invited me out, because I was always like a social drinker. I was never like...
A solo drinker.
Yeah. So I got tired of that, lifestyle, and I got to the point where I was like having... On my fitness tracker, I was having like 40-hour workout weeks because it was the only thing that kind of calmed me down. I did that for about the first 6 months I was out. And one day I'm on a 10-mile run, and I'm just like, what am I doing to myself? But anyway, after that, 2013 rolls around, and I'm like, I gotta find something to give me some kind of goal because I just feel empty right now. Just so then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start signing up for events and everything like that again. So like I found a couple races. I started doing them on the weekends, but it kind of gave me like a purpose and everything. And then during the course of that, I wound up doing like Spartan races, Tough Mudders, stuff like that. And that kind of opened up Pandora's box and led me into like a whole different realm because I started talking to a lot of the guys there. And then I started finding out about more extreme stuff like World's Toughest Mudder, which is a 24-hour Tough Mudder race. The Death Race, which is like what Spartans stem from. That's like anywhere between 48 and 72 hours, depending on, they don't tell you how long it's going to be. They just tell you just prepare for this amount of time off of work,
Holy
and then,
shit.
yeah, but there was like so many like weird, like hardcore things I started finding. But it kind of gave me, like a new purpose though. It's just like every time I did one, I looked at it like I was accomplishing a mission. Like it wasn't necessarily
felt fulfilled.
Yeah, like it wasn't necessarily winning it. It was just like getting it done. You know what I'm saying though? And like almost, and every time I did another like type of event, like if I transitioned into like a triathlon or an Ironman or like a Spartan Ultra Beast, it was almost like I leveled up into like recreated myself as something new. You know what I'm saying? So I did that in 2013, and all the obstacle races, I didn't know any better, so I did boots and utes. I didn't wear anything like high performance, just camel bottoms and boots, because that's how we did it in the military, so that's what I did.
So fuck it.
But 4th of July 2014, I decided to, raise awareness to this though, because the thing about it is though, people don't know about like the mental baggage that troops bring home, and like most people think PTSD is bullshit, but it's not.
No.
Like it can be paralyzing, like it's bad. But so I decided to do all my runs after that with a rucksack. So I weighted out the 45 pounds initially, because that was the special forces training load, like throughout the selection process and everything. And then, I did that for a while. I drew a little bit of attention, but then in 2015, I started carrying the flag with it. And I think more people like the flag drew more awareness than the rucksack did. You know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Because
you're running with the flag, and that's such a symbolic symbol alone. Because when we have the flag on our shoulder, it's angled like we're running with the flag.
Yeah.
So there's even a deeper symbolism behind that.
The flag on the right sleeve is always backwards because you always carry the colors in the battle and you never retreat. And that not too many people know that, but that's why the flag's backwards on that right shoulder. If it's on the left shoulder, it's facing the right way because you always carry the colors into battle. But very, very few. I don't think anybody really wears it on the left shoulder anymore. It's always on the right.
When I was in, it was always on the right shoulder.
Yeah, because also too at the Army, usually the unit patch is on the left anyway, right?
Yeah. And then your deployment patch is on the right.
But yeah, so I started carrying the flag and everything, and then as I kept going with the American flag, I started attaching like different causes to it. I mean, like the primary cause right now, well, not for what I'm about to do, but it's just basically a tribute to the military, law enforcement, and first responders, just the people that keep us safe. But 2016, I did a little cross-country journey where I thanked police officers. This was during like the whole start of all the BS and everything, and I wanted to debunk a lot of that stuff though, because the police really do have the community support, but a lot of what's portrayed like via the media, via social media is false. So in 2016, I started this Thank the Police Tour campaign. So what I did though is I went out to the store. I bought about 40 American flags, and then I bought a whole bunch of thank you cards, and I started up a GoFundMe. And the idea I had was to run around the police precinct area with the flag. Then after I was done, I would detach the flag, fold it up military style, give the police the American flag, a handwritten thank you card, and a handwritten list of donors to let them know that the community was still supported by it. So I started it, and then by the time I got done, I had hundreds of donors. So it actually ended up becoming like a mission because, I drove my car to each location, but I ended up going as far south as Miami and as far as west as San Diego and then cutting across. So I ended up getting to about 38, 39 different police precincts because I took 2 weeks off of work to do this. So, and in the beginning I didn't get much, but by the time I got done, I think I raised about $6,000 or so. I was actually interviewed by Tommy Lauren about it.
Yeah, I remember you were on Fox News.
Well, that wasn't Fox News.
That's Tommy's Tommy's own show.
Yeah, that was when she was still working for the Blaze. Because she saw something I did in Dallas. It was like shortly after that shooting in Dallas at El Centro.
Yeah.
Well, I did the run around there, and every time I would go to one of these places, the first few and this again too, though, like Joe DeSena actually has a saying: instead of ready, aim, fire, it's fire, aim, ready. Don't plan, just execute, and then the plan will fall into place. And I don't mean that you shouldn't plan at all.
No, but it's like have like an outline of a blueprint in your head, but not full detail. Like let it flow into you.
Well, because with most people, they wait till things are perfect before they take action, and then they just never take action.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Because the thing about it is, though, is a lot of times you could have a perfect plan and get punched in the mouth anyway, which is what's going to happen. But
someone is fucking bigger and knocks you out.
You just have to get things started, and then a lot of times that enables you to plan on the go. And then things get better, because you're going to mess up no matter what you do. But getting back to that, though, like once I figured out a system, it was Baton Rouge, which is where one of the big shootings occurred.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And, I went to Hattiesburg, Mississippi on an invite to do one of those runs. And I talked to the police chief there, and he told me, he's like, look, because I had been trying to contact the news media and everything myself. He's like, look, don't contact the news media. It's not going to do anything. Go to the police precinct yourself, contact the public information officer, and let them contact the news media. So by the time I got to Baton Rouge, I had a motorcycle escort as I ran down the main highway to the shooting site. I publicly gave a moment of silence, and then I ran back. And then that caught a whole bunch of attention and everything. And then when I got to Dallas, I called them up. They mistook everything, and then when I finally got there and explained it in person, they're like, "Okay, we messed up." So they had a car following me on Periscope which is like Twitter's version of a live feed or whatever, while I was running with the flag, and then the news media caught it. So then the news media did like a little thing on me running to El Centro, the college, giving a moment of silence, and then they video of me rolling the flag up and everything. But then Tommy Lauren saw that, and that little clip is what got me on her show. But even with that, though, like they actually shut down a section of the Strip in Las Vegas for me to like run with it. So the thing actually got like a lot of traction and everything. And then I got home, I got an award from Suffolk County Police. Like Tim Sinney, he's the district attorney now, but he was the police commissioner back then. He held a whole conference for me. I got a bunch of veterans to run around Yap Hank around the. It was pretty cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
I don't know what time you got on this, but I can show you more stuff about that later. But yeah, like most people, like forgot I even did that, and it was actually kind of interesting though, because the old manager at my gym wasn't even going to let me off, and my fitness manager, he's like, "Look, dude, I'll take the hit. Just go." So he took care of me on that. And then I was getting texts from my clients. And they're like, "It's so cool because I'm at the gym and I see you on News 12 right now."
See, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome because now your clientele is actually seeing like what you're representing also.
Oh,
and they get a deep appreciation for the kind of work that you get. But
it was one of the most fulfilled things I've ever felt, though. And it was the last stop on that tour before I came back to New York was in Cleveland. And every place I went to, I would like dress up in all blue. I would wear sunglasses to make sure I didn't make eye contact with the wrong people. Yeah, and then I would run with the flag. And in the beginning, I was by myself. But then by the time I got to like Vegas, for example, I ran with a team of SWAT officers. Like up and down the strip. And
people caught wind and they wanted to run along.
Yeah, and that was the whole intent behind it, though. Look at you being
a natural Forrest Gump.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did drive to the location. I didn't. Unfortunately, I couldn't run cross country because I'd have to take like a whole year off work. But I mean,
I would not be surprised if I see on the news one day that you decide to say fucking and go running for across the country.
But also, too, the very first location I did was in Baltimore, and I didn't know where I was going. I parked in the hood somewhere, some random police precinct, and I'm dressed in all blue. I have sunglasses on. I'm running through the neighborhood with the American flag. So I look over and I see like a bunch of dudes that look like gangbangers in the front yard. They have their pants sagging, wife beaters on, like jewelry, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, oh shit, this is where it comes to an end. So I'm running, and all of a sudden one of them stands up, and he's like, "Yeah, man, go get it." I'm like, really?
Yeah, listen.
I'm like, all right.
Never judge a book by its
cover. And then I got
cover.
lost and ended up doing like 8 miles through Baltimore.
But,
I'm like, when I did all these little runs, I didn't have a route planned. I just
fuck it.
I just ran and had Google Maps out. And, I would run like a Facebook live feed, like at first, just to kind of give a monologue of like what I was doing, where I was going and stuff like that.
Right.
But then after I got off the Facebook monologue, I would use Google Maps to get back to the car. And, I took a couple wrong turns, and I'm like, I don't know where the hell I am.
Oh, shit. I got to run back now.
So I'm like running with my phone out like this, and, just trying to see where to go. But anyway, after that, where was I at? Okay, so
transitioning into what's coming up now.
Okay.
So the full background into that. What is also, by the way, how many races now completed with the American flag?
719 as of this morning.
This motherfucker ran a race this morning, and yes, and he's still here. I swear to God, dude, like you're hands down like a different.
I don't have
breed.
an exact count with the rucksack. I'd have to go through my spreadsheets and comb it a little bit.
You're still a different breed, man. Like I genuinely like when there's days that I think about when I'm just sitting on my ass and it's just like, no, this motherfucker literally just ran a marathon. Let me go just do something. But now coming up into what's going on in 17 days, you got a massive event that's coming. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because, and the reason why I wanted to have you on here, well, two different reasons. One is Memorial Day, Memorial Week, not Memorial Day, Memorial Month, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month as well. Mental health
month itself is huge,
So one of the reasons, again, because correlating it all into also the PTSD that veterans face, and law enforcement face, and first responders face. The awareness that you're bringing up right now is something that it hits close to home because I also is not only something where I've lost a few friends to, and family too, but you're about to do something that I genuinely can't fathom mentally. Talk a little bit about what you got going on, and then also at the end, how can anyone that's watching this help you out in any way or contribute towards this event? Okay,
so in a couple weeks though, and I did something similar to this last year. So there's this group called Operation VEST, and the acronym, the VEST is an acronym. It stands for Veterans Ending Suicide Together, and it all stemmed from this guy Stefan Hespler. So back in 2016, and this is why you should always set an example, because you don't know the impact you're going to have on somebody. But remember that old 22 push-up challenge?
Yeah.
That everybody used to do or whatever. Well, I did something like that. I did them special. I did burpees. I did a whole bunch of different variations.
Of course you did. Yeah, because you couldn't just do push-ups.
Yeah. So there's this guy Stefan Hespler that was watching me do it. The only difference is he took it beyond 22 days, and he's currently still doing it. So he's became known as the push-up guy, and he's done 22 push-ups a day for over 3,000 days now. So,
wow.
Yeah, consecutively without a break.
Wow.
Okay. But without me doing that, he never would have started this up, and I had no idea whatsoever. But that led to him starting a charity called Operation VEST, and I didn't find out about this until I did one of his runs. It was the 2.2 mile run and plunge in Brightwaters. They do it usually like February. You run,
the water. You run into the water.
2.2 miles and you jump in the water. But I was talking to him afterwards, and he's like, because you're the reason for all this. I saw your post about the 22 a day push-up challenge. I decided to do it, and then I took it a step further and started this organization and everything. So, like last year, I'm like, there's got to be a way for me to pay pay this dude back or do something to like help him out. So I saw that there's this race company called Mainly Marathons. Now, Mainly Marathons, they're a company that's designed for like your 50 staters, the people that want to run a marathon in all 50 states. Well, they'll do like little series and stuff though. So last year I did the Gulf Coast series followed by the Appalachian series, but it came out to like 11 races in a row. I did the marathons on a bad hip with a 30-pound rucksack, and I got through all of it. And I used that as a chance to raise the money for this organization. And last year, since the job I was working at didn't back me on it, I didn't really get a chance to reach the full potential. I didn't get the fundraising page up till day 5, but I still ended up raising about $3,000, over the course of it. But this year, Unique's actually given me the opportunity to, they're helping me promote it and everything. They actually gave me a little bit of money towards it too.
Which shout out to Unique Fitness.
Yeah,
Very, 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 very loving family. Very, very, very loving community. It's an awesome facility. Very thankful to still be there. Very thankful for the community over there.
No, I'm very thankful to be working there too, though.
They truly are.
Yeah.
They're the standard with what a public facility should be doing with not only just their trainers, but also how can they help promote their trainers on the outside as well.
Exactly.
Like they actually are opening to listening and helping people out. So I definitely do want to give them their flowers on that one.
Yeah, because very few places do that, especially if you're in the corporate world. As far as personal trainers go, you're treated like bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, literally, because there's always there's a million and one of us around.
Yeah, and having worked at I lost count, probably 7 different gyms, I can attest to that. Unique's probably the best place I've
especially
ever
on
worked
Long
at.
Island. On Long Island here, it's the best place to if you're looking to, not to steer you away too far from it, but if you're really looking to begin your training career. It's the best place to go because you get a better understanding of what it truly means to build up a name and how hard it is for you to really make it in the industry in itself. It's not just a job where, being as a personal trainer, you're not just immediately going to get that money that you're looking for or the clientele that you're looking for. It's something that you need to hustle. Me and you can attest with we're the first ones in the gym and usually the last ones to leave the gym. But it's also because we love what we do and we care about our community and we care about our clientele, but we also, this is our back against the wall type career. Our backs up against the wall, and we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that we make this thing.
Well, and that's what most people don't understand about training either, though, is I blew up quick just because I've been a trainer for a long time, and
you've had a following,
and you also people know who I am.
But you work your ass off too.
Yeah.
Like you're also in the gym when people are still sleeping. You're also
5 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yeah, you're there. You're there later than I am, and you're also there consistently. Like it's not like you're just doing 1 or 2 days that long. No, you're doing basically every day that you're there. You're there for nearly that long. So that's another thing that takes when it comes down to being in this industry and you want to make it. You got to put that fucking time in.
And on the average, even at like your best top of the line personal training places like Equinox, like stuff like that. Yeah. Places where there's a personal training culture set in, it still takes at least like a good 6 months to get something livable, and that's what most people don't understand. Because even like right now, I had a quick swell, but that swell's about to crash a little bit though, because
summertime comes around.
Well, not only summertime though, but I'm still new to the location, so no matter like how fast I get a clientele, I'm still going to take a dip. But every time I get another swell, I get a couple more lifers, and then it becomes a little bit more sustainable.
That's the toughest part, is sustaining the dip. If you can sustain the dip, it always does come back again.
Yeah.
The rise and fall of the flow of energy and the flow of people in a facility, it's never going to end. And that's why I strongly do feel that the people that really do care about the industry are the ones that can weather the storm of it going down so low, because then when they're coming back up, they can appreciate everything that's coming back up into it again and their wallets being fuller. But again, steering away from going back to that point, so you're getting ready to run how much?
Yeah, so this year, and running's a very loose term because I'm going to be rucking it.
Rucking.
Yeah, so this year I'm doing something similar. It's a different 11 states though. It's more coastal. It's more local to New York, sort of. It's spanning pretty much starting in Maryland and ending in Maine. But I'm going to attempt to ruck 11 50Ks in 11 states in 11 days with 50 pounds on my back. And and all the proceeds that I'm raising are going to go to Operation Vest to help, because what they do to end suicide is they're like a middleman kind of. So they funnel money to counseling services for veterans and stuff like that.
So I'm sorry. Repeat one more time. How far are you rucking? And for the individuals that don't understand, like 50K, like they don't understand all that.
So 50K to convert to the empirical system, a 50K is 31.1 miles. So, and I did apply to Guinness. I'm just waiting to hear back if it's an actual world record or not. I applied back in March. There's typically a 12-week turnaround time.
Unless you want to pay extra money for it to be seen faster.
Yeah, so I priced it last night. It's like if I want a response by like Monday, it's like $800.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but if I would have, but that's probably because I'm probably a week or so away from finding out. But either way,
even still, that's not for nothing. And how many of those you're gonna do?
11 50Ks, 11 states, 11 days, consecutively, without a break.
My mind is not like comprehending this right now.
I'm obviously going to be speed hiking though, because with 50 pounds on my back, I'm not going to be able to run it.
Now, when it comes down to the preparation for this, what are you doing? Like, are you doing like more just like prepping for weighted rucks, or are you doing more of a?
Well, more or less just beating my legs up right now, because I'm pretty much. With something like that, it's more mental than anything. You know what I'm saying, though. So
I'd say majority of everything that you do is mental, because your body is already
anything endurance, anything stamina based. It's all mental. Your mind shuts down before your body does.
Yeah.
It's. So I've been doing rucks here and there, but I started getting back into running more ultra marathons and stuff to prep for it. Like I did a 100-mile race like 3 weeks ago, and I'm laughing
at the fact of like just how fucking insane that like it's like your body can withstand so much of the storm. Yeah. And you're still pushing at well over points that individuals don't even think about going.
Well, a lot of it is just understanding how the body works, and not just the body, but your body. You know what I'm saying? Because I can give somebody advice on an ultramarathon that might work for me, but might not work for them because their body's not the same as mine. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, yeah, that's just given in the training world in general. No matter what, that's everything. Like the way that I squat is maybe going to be completely different than the way that you squat. Just because my legs are a little longer, your diaphragm's a little shorter.
Yeah, like if you have long femurs on a short torso, your squat tech mechanics are going to be different than if you have a long torso on short femurs. You know.
But so what? As far as this next major milestone, after this, is there any signs of you taking a step back to just breathe a little bit?
Well, I'm obviously going to need a couple weeks to chill out.
Yeah, because that's 30 miles, 11 days in a row. That you're well over 300 miles total that you'll be going, and with weight on your back as well. Going into this mentally, is this something that you're even like? Not to put this even into your head or anything like that whatsoever, but I just want to see where you're at mentally with this. Like, is this like one of those things where it's like you're going to get it done, like no matter what, or is this something where you feel like if you feel that your body is really at that point where it's like it needs to take that break?
Well, I'm gonna do what I can to get it done. You know what I'm saying? Though, if the body shuts down, the body shuts down. Most of it, like, even like when I did it last year. Last year, I was pending hip surgery.
Yeah, the motherfucker. You just had, and he also had, mind you, he's also done all this post hip surgery too as well, and with also the fucked up hip.
I had a hip resurface.
There's a lot. So when people will tell me that they're constantly in pain and they can't do this, they can't.
Now let me get into the why I needed that hip surgery though, just before somebody's like, oh, you run too much, whatever. So I needed that hip surgery because 2019 I attempted a world record. And believe it or not, David Goggins was actually the inspiration for this, even though it wasn't a record that he had. But at the end of 2018, I was doing this little charity thing where I ran. It was called the Savage 7 series. So it was a series of seven marathons in 7 days, but they had an upgrade option for 50K. So obviously, I did the 50Ks. So this was down in Florida, but it was in like one little spot. So I was in the process of running 750Ks in 7 days, and this was about the time that David Goggins' book Can't Hurt Me came out. So I would go out, run the 50K, and then I would go back to my hotel room and listen to his audiobook while I was recovering. And he had mentioned how he was like this normal guy that created this alternate personality called Goggins and everything.
Yeah.
And he had talked about going for that world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours.
Still to this day, one of my favorite books of all time.
Oh, yeah.
It's still to this day probably my favorite book of all time.
Absolutely. But then it kind of got the wheels turning with me. So I started thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. I still consider myself like an average everyday guy, but what's the difference between me and him? Why can't I find something that I can shoot for a world record in? Mm-hmm. So then I started thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder if there's a world record for the most 100-mile finishes in a year. So I started looking it up, and at the time, this guy, Ed Eddinghausen, he's nicknamed the Jester. He runs all his races with a Jester hat. That's kind of like his thing.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
But he did 41 100-milers back in 2014. So I'm like, all right, my recovery is usually pretty good, but I priced it all out, and I'm like, there's no way I can afford this whatsoever. Now, bear in mind, if you want something bad enough, the universe will give it to you.
Yeah.
And that I've figured that out. Like, it always something miraculous always happens to make it happen. So I plotted out a bunch of 100-mile races. I'm like, all right, I'll just get this thing started and see what I can get done. So the first one was a race called the Frozen Hellhole 100. It was in South Carolina. And I ended up. This is January of 2019. I ended up winning the race.
Oh shit!
And I was like, all right, I drove down there. It took me coming back was a nightmare though. I had to pull over every 20 minutes to put my head down. But see, this is where I differ from people like James Lawrence and like David Goggins and like Cameron Haynes and people like that. They all have support systems and
no,
crews.
you are. It's
I'm
you.
on my own.
It's you alone.
Yeah. So even with the Thank the Police tour, I did start getting support towards the end, and even with the 100-mile chase,
but it was still done on your own. Everything you've done to this point, literally, you've done on your own, and that's what makes you completely different versus. They have a bigger following. Yeah, they have bigger names and everything else, but you've done more work on your own versus, having that support team that's right there, mapping out whatever you need to map out, hydrating you, keeping your food in check, all that stuff, keeping you mentally in check as well. Yeah, that's even more commendable because at the end of the day, too, you're your own worst enemy. So I can only imagine the amount of times you've gone through.
Well, and that's the hardest part though, because I've done stuff my last relationship was fairly on the toxic side, and this was back in 2022, and I actually met her doing Spartan races and stuff though, but at the same time she didn't want to do them anymore. So. It was a bit of a distance relationship because she was from Texas and I was from New York.
Okay.
But just visualize going to do a 30-mile Ultra Beast Spartan race with obstacles and everything up and down a mountain in Montana and getting reamed by your girlfriend the night before. And now you have to get out there with that gnawing in the back of your head like you're the worst, evilest person on the planet, but you're really not,
When you really did nothing wrong, but you just... Yeah, you're doing your race.
Especially when I was up front and told her about every single plan I had, but that gnawing in the back of your head.
Especially that if you outright told her everything from the beginning of what your plans
everything was
are,
planned, but she kept trying to get me to cancel plans to go hang out with her instead. And from somebody from my standpoint, because also too, I got sponsors here and there.
Yeah,
and I got all this stuff going on.
It's part of your career.
Yeah, and it's
what pays your bills too.
Well, because it doesn't really pay my bills per se, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
But from a personal training standpoint too, though, it's me branding myself. It's basically who I am.
Right.
So to have to go do 31 mile, or actually it came out to about 35 by the time I was done. To go 35 miles in the pouring rain up and down a mountain in Montana, then 40-degree weather with your feet absolutely destroyed, and then you have that nagging little voice in the back of your head. Like, most people need a support system to do stuff like this. So,
Yeah.
like, to have to shut that off, because like, well, even like training people in general, it's an entire picture. It's not just like fitness.
No, it's
You know what I'm saying?
mental,
If they
it's
have,
spiritual, it's
yeah,
physical, it's everything.
everything counts.
Yeah.
So to like have to go out and do that, like I've always had like an anti-support system. Like even like
People saying that you can't do this, or
yeah, like 2023 when I went out and I mean it's been broken already, but I went out and set a trifecta record for males for most trifectas in a year through Spartan. I got reamed when I came back. So, like, it's almost like I split off into two different worlds at the old gym I was working at. I'm going away on the weekends, and, like, everyone's like, oh,
to promote your name.
yeah, it's like, oh, you're amazing.
Another prime example of little dick energy and fucking toxic
to
fucking
the extreme.
leaders. Jesus Christ.
So, so I would go away for the weekend, though, and, like, I would get everybody telling me I'm doing such awesome things, we're doing a great job. Then I would go back to my old job during the day, and I would have my fitness manager make limping jokes about me in front of my clients, do mock limping gestures, all this and all that. I'd have the owner of the gym give me "nobody cares about you" speeches, say like just all this nonsense, and that's not even the chief reason I left that place. The chief reason that started a lot of my animosity towards them, though, was I spent 3 hours watching my mother pass away, only to get accused of not doing my job 2 days later by both the fitness manager and the owner on back-to-back days over the.
Oh, y'all can go fuck yourselves for that one, straight up. Y'all can straight up go fuck yourselves for that one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's all the right, and that's all the right fucking field.
Yeah, but I made the mistake and stayed there because, like, after all this happened, because I was waiting for hip surgery. And this is December of 2023, where I finally got the VA to agree with me that I needed it, but I couldn't make a plan because they kept delaying me month by month.
Typical VA shit.
Yeah, so like, okay, we're gonna do it next month. Okay, we're gonna do it next month. Okay, we're gonna do it next month. So now I'm at a job that I absolutely hate because after I got back from that record attempt, I got ripped to pieces in a meeting by all three managers over stuff that did like months ago. And when I stood up for myself against that one manager, the owner made me apologize to him. Yeah.
My God,
there's
dude!
A whole ton
you have so much more patience with me.
Oh yeah. No, it fried my brain though, because like it actually started to give me like a trauma response.
Because shit like that, like I have no. If a manager were to talk to me like that with that shit, I would have zero problem.
Oh yeah.
Walking the fuck out and taking everybody I had with me. Like that right there is
But needless to say, if I would have known that I was getting my hip surgery in July, like if they were told me, okay, look, you're going to get surgery in July, I could have made a plan. But they kept delaying me month by month by month. So like when I first got to Unique, my bank account dwindled down to nothing. I actually had to dump an IRA just to like keep myself going. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was in like crisis mode when I came here because like when I was finally like a month out from surgery to where I could walk again, I immediately quit that job and went back to Gold's for a little bit. And Gold's is a failing gym. Like there was no potential there whatsoever. So I got, I ended up getting recommended to go to Unique because my chiropractor's wife, I guess, knew the owner or knew somebody that knew the owner. And said that I should go there because they would probably promote me for everything I've done and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, I went down and worked out for a little bit, and then I ran into Billy at the front desk, and I go to him like, hey, what do you guys pay your trainers out? So then he steered me to Alex. I pulled up my NASM profile and showed him all my certifications. He's like, email me that and I'll have somebody call you. So the next day I just got done working out at Bev's, and Justin called me while I was in the parking lot, and he's like, well, we want to schedule an interview. I'm like, well, when do you want me to come down? He's like, well, I'll be at the gym for another 2 hours or so. So then I came down, got the interview, and then when he called me back for the practical. So I gave him a little practical. Then he ran over to the copying machine to make copies. He comes back and he's like, hey, a couple of members stopped me on the floor and said that they knew you from Fit Life, and they said you were a really great trainer and that I should hire you. So, there's nothing better than getting an on-the-spot referral.
That right there is such an important part.
And then I was working out later that night, and Justin was training his client, Jackie. So Jackie comes up to me. She's like, Billy, what are you doing here? So I used to work with Jackie when I was at Gold's way back in the day because she was a Parisi speed coach. So she already knew me from there. So that was another referral. So then Justin's like, dude, how many people do you actually know?
See, and that's how you became such a valuable asset to us, though. Like to Unique in general. I'm not trying to throw shade on any other trainers in general, but the kind of steam that you came in, I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, and blatantly, like what I mean by that is like there's rarely any other times where I've seen trainers either come in as early as I have and stay as late as I have, or come in and then leave and then come back later.
Yeah.
You literally stay for majority of the entire fucking day, and you're also there recording content too as well.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys don't follow his Instagram, I highly encourage follow his Instagram, because if there's a special holiday, this motherfucker's in an outfit. So, like, for Christmas, you came in as Santa, then he was the Easter Bunny, and then he was Superman the other day. So it's definitely some good content to follow.
And the Superman thing was relating back to this record attempt, though, because one of the things I want to do to kind of raise funding to go into this, and again, anything I raise. See, I am looking for people to sponsor me. Like, so what I want to do is I want to have companies sponsor me to help me pay for costs, but everything I do based off the web content goes to the charity itself. Right. You know what I'm saying?
You still need, when you're traveling, you still need money for the food, money for a stay, money for all that stuff, which sponsors can definitely help out with. But the one thing I can say is that, with the amount of businesses here on Long Island, especially, they would love to attach to that. Like, I'm sure I could definitely reach out to the boys over at Cannabolics about that. And I could definitely, we can see talking even to the guys over at Redefine. Especially with Unique, there's so many other connections within Unique that we'll definitely be able to get something out there for as far as just like other places to start to really push for you. I'm sure also Frank and Deb will definitely want to help out with that as well. So before we start to wrap things up real quick, one thing I wanted to really also have you on here for, obviously, like I said before, this is Memorial Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month. And for the veteran community who is out there right now, not necessarily knowing what to do, or they're struggling mentally, or they're trying to transition, what's some advice that you can give to the individuals who are coming out of the service, who don't necessarily have a direction, but want to do something with their lives and not just fall into the same patterns as the majority of people who end up falling behind a bottle?
Yeah, I mean, well, one of the biggest things, and I didn't even have this either, though, is like just surround yourself with good people. You know what I'm saying, though? Because you can't do this alone. Like, I mean, I met, like, me getting into like the racing community, that's one of the reasons why I do it, though, because especially in the Spartan realm, I've literally met people like that live out of state that, that like if I ever needed it, they would be there. It kind of had that military type mentality, because you don't get that in the civilian world. People here don't give a shit about anybody. No, but like it's exactly why it's like I firmly do believe that I get couple of pushbacks on this statement, but I firmly do believe if we gave everybody a year or two in service in general, it would create a little bit more, discipline in individuals. Oh, absolutely. Two, a little more unification, because at the end of the day, you don't care who's to the left and to the right of you, as long as you're able to cover your back and take the shot when you're reloading. Like, that's what the things that you're caring about. Yeah, it's creating like anytime like two individuals go through a hardship together, the bonds get tighter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So. And you also become more of a stand-up person, though, because you're, Oh, yeah. So, listen, not for nothing. Like, I definitely, before the Army, I was definitely a little shithead. And I also was, another one of those insecure, shy individuals. The Army was also one of the things that helped me really bring out a little bit more of the fitness realm in me, because I always knew I had the potential with this shit. Yeah, I just didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. I was a 17-year-old kid that was a product of divorce when I first went in. My mom and dad split when I was 13. So you found that working out was your coping around that time frame as well. Oh, absolutely. And then that's what got me in the training.
So
you know,
so it stems from.
well, it's one of the things. See, like everything I do in life, it's never just one defining moment. It's like a
No,
cascade
yeah,
of things
that's what I'm
that
seeing.
build
I'm
up.
seeing the layers here behind the cake that you
Yeah,
have displayed now.
there's always layers to like everything.
Yeah, and
So
I'd say that you're definitely the example of what
yeah,
a man should do with the challenges that he's facing. It's not running away from them. You're running towards them, and
yeah,
you're facing them, and you're also taking these things on head on.
yeah,
A lot of this generation, they don't like to do this. They like to stay hidden behind their phones, and they like to constantly keep pushing down what's really been wrong with them, versus letting it all come to surface and then
yeah,
running head on. You said something very important before when it comes down to having that team. It's distilled in the army. It's distilled in the
yeah,
Marines. It's distilled in the overall military aspect of like you are a team. So
yeah,
you gotta take that same team mentality and then just bring it into whatever workforce or whatever environment you want to go into. And as long as that same energy is matched, which most of the time veterans can get along in the very same way.
yeah,
We all have that same tie at the end of the day. We all laced up a pair of boots at one point. And we all wore the same patch on our shoulder that
yeah,
fucking and signed our same wills. It's all that stuff there that can kind of create a little bit more of that deeper bond, which is the reason why that I do say that I do think individuals from 18 to 20, I do think all genders of men and women should
absolutely,
genuinely
yeah,
serve, so that one, you also understand what the hell is going on outside of this country. If it'd be a difference if we weren't just being fed through things on TikTok on our phone,
oh
or
yeah,
the misinformation on the TV, or through CNN, MSNBC, Fox, like all these other places.
yeah, because they're not even news anymore. They
No, it's
just
all biased
they
bullshit.
market opinions, and it's all.
Exactly.
Yeah, because even like like 2023, when I was chasing that men's trifecta record, I was in like 18 different countries. I carried the American flag through all of them. And for the most part, I got positive responses. Mexico was kind of funny because everyone wanted the pictures with the American. I mean, hell, one of the races was on the Mexican military base, and they still let me on with the flag. I was like, okay.
Okay, shit.
But like, yeah, all the Mexican soldiers were taking pictures, and stuff like that. It was, it was a pretty interesting experience.
You lived the life of literally. When I say that you're fucking, like, you are the real life Forrest Gump.
Pretty well.
You are the real life Forrest Gump for the most
Well,
part.
in a way, I mean, Forrest Gump was I don't like ultra running and Spartan racing. It's more like hybrid.
Well, I'm not just talking about that. I'm just talking about your overall life experiences and
Yeah.
everything that you've done in general. Like, you've genuinely lived a life. Like, you've lived lives
Yeah.
that people want to live, or you're doing things that people wish that they could do. Like, the fact that you're doing what you're doing now and you're consistently doing it. Like, it's not just one of these things where you're not just running one time a year or two times
Yeah.
a year. No, it's almost every other fucking day. I see this guy posting another picture, or he's posting another
Yeah,
video.
generally I try to do it like both days on the weekend.
The fact that you've done over 700
Yeah,
races, 700 races carrying a flag.
and that's over a 10-year period.
I'd love to see people just run with a baton. Like,
Yeah.
like, run with just a baton for 5 miles and see how your arms feel. Now this man is running with that, plus also occasionally with a rucksack also,
Yeah.
right?
Well, the rucksack. If I'm doing a generic like road race, I always run with it. The trail stuff, it depends because you're climbing mountains and stuff like that. I mean, the longest I've done with the rucksack was probably 50 miles.
Oof.
So yeah, Jesus
Christ.
but yeah, I used to be really fast with it before I got hurt. I did a 50K once in 5 hours and 41 minutes with 45 pounds on my back. Yeah, that's and then 5 hours and 41 minutes is a pretty good time without any weight.
Yeah, the fact you did that with 45 pounds?
Yeah. So there was the fastest 5K I did with a 45-pound ruck was 24 minutes and 30 seconds. And yeah,
you need more you really do need more recognition for the achievements that you've accomplished.
I got a little bit of a reputation though, because it would be funny though, because like when I was in that 35 to 39 age group, like there would be times where I would actually win the age group, and then they would call me up, and I would walk up there with this giant rucksack and an American flag, and people's jaws would just drop, and I was the one that won the age group,
he did
and
that?
I was like, yeah,
Yeah, I'd be the one with my fucking jaw on the ground too. I'd be the one like saying, how?
but
Yeah, not to mention also, how old are you?
I'm 43.
and you're still doing all this shit.
Yeah.
So that's why when the most frustrating thing one of the most frustrating statements I hear from people in general, not necessarily even from my clientele, I'm too old to do this. I'm too old to do that. You don't even understand.
And a lot of that comes from the people they surround themselves with too. Like Jim Quick, I don't remember both acronyms though. Like I don't know if you ever read his book or not though.
No,
He's like Jim Quick's a dude. He had he had a massive head injury. He was told all his life that his brain was broken and stuff like that. And now he's one of the top mindset coaches out there because because your brain's not broken. That's
something for me to look into then.
You know that when it comes to your brain and everything, there's actually you're familiar with neuroplasticity.
Yeah. That part I am.
Intelligence isn't fixed. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can get smarter, but it's one of the acronyms is lies. It's limiting something, whatever. But the other one is BS. And guess what BS is? Belief systems. And belief systems are placed on you by most of the times by other people. It's when you're a little child and your parent tells you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. And it's like, well, why not? But if you're told that you can't do something enough by people around you, eventually you start believing it. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But those beliefs that people project on you come from themselves. They're not... Everybody has their picture of what their life should be like, but that's not you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying.
That's why, I will never, when it comes to training people too, I will never tell a client that they can't do something.
Yeah.
I might give them the precautions or whatever, but it's like, hey, if you want to get this done, I'll lead you to it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like, why not? What's the worst that could happen?
And then the fulfillment you see in their eyes when they see something or they do something that they thought that, oh, there's no way that I can do that, or I can't lift that. That's too heavy.
Well, the biggest confidence boost I've had with people is box jumps.
I can relate with that with Emma. Emma's one of my clients over here too. She landed her first ever box jump.
And it doesn't even have to be that high. Just even a 12-inch box though, because that's one of the biggest fears: jumping on top of something,
face planting, and then eating shit, and then getting hurt.
And people are perfectly capable of doing it, but they just put these mental belief systems or limiting beliefs on themselves, and they put a wall up in front of them, and because they don't believe they can do it, they don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And then once they see that they can do it, I've literally had clients have taken them from nothing to a 36-inch box jump just on the same day. And that's just because they had the ability to do it though, but they just didn't believe in themselves. Probably because some dumbass told them that, oh, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never be able to do this.
It's so stupid. Or your favorite favorite influencer. Stop doing this exercise. It's so. Or stop eating this. Or stop doing that. Because
Instagram's a whole nother world.
That could be a whole hour-long podcast within itself. But I fully understand that because it's one of the things that also really keeps me in the field as well. Yeah. It's not just something that I don't just do this, and I haven't been doing this as long just because it's something that is easy for me to do because I enjoy what I do. I do it because of that sheer impact that you're putting on these people, that even the smallest things, like being able to squat properly. Oh, yeah. Like being able to pick up the case of water from the ground up.
Well, because also, too, once you can squat and hip hinge properly, the sky's the limit, because
everything just grows from that point.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll never understand, when you have coaches that just constantly have that mental limitation on their clientele, I'm far from ever letting my clients keeping it safe. We keep it safe. Don't get me to a certain extent.
Safety's always a priority though, but I get completely what you're saying.
Not in the safe point of we're gonna just keep curling the same 5 pounds that you've been curling. No. I have my client Jen, to throw her out there, who is all of 120 pounds and is one of the heaviest kettlebell swingers that I have. She swings 124 pounds for reps, and she is 120 pounds. Yeah. I have guys who barely even want to pick up the 35 pounds because it's all in their head because, it's too heavy. And I'm like, if only you knew. Because the body is, you said it earlier, the body is
human body is very resilient.
It's extremely durable.
Because even too, though, I had a stretch 2017, and this is the first time I've ever done a consecutive day type thing. So I found 9 races in a row. 8 of them were ultra marathons. So it was Spartan Ultra Beast in Jersey. It was Ironmaster 50K, which is a brutal mountain race. Then it was 5 50Ks through that mainly marathon company that I'm doing this upcoming thing with. Then it was a 50-miler, and then it ended with the Long Island Marathon. So I went out and also too I got interviewed by the newspaper at the Long Island Marathon, and all they did was have a picture of me that says Billy runs with the flag. I'm like, whatever. But so I think part of the reason I'm not where I'm at is the whole Long Island mentality, because people here are kind of different.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
It can also, the difference is with the Long Island community, you got to get around the right people and get your name in front of the right people.
Oh, absolutely.
I just sat down recently with the owner of DC Sports Apparel. We did a conversation here. He's somebody who is a part of an actual entrepreneur / business mentality community that or a group that basically all works within each other. And he was saying that they meet up at the diner every Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning to sit down to talk about business and to...
I think I've heard of that before, because a guy, Ron Wyke, I used to train way back in the day, like about 2014, 2015. I think he used to be a part of that, though, because he used to mention that he... I forgot what he did on the business end, though, but he used to mention that he used to go to networking meetings at like 6:30 in the morning at a diner.
It's important. It genuinely is important. The one thing that I do, and I don't want to be redundant with coming on saying the same conversation I had in the last podcast, but networking at the end of the day, when it comes down to, especially in the training industry, like, you got to network like a mother. You got to network by the point, like, I'm not saying just like putting it on social media.
Well, you got to be the middleman.
No, you got to talk. You got to constantly talk to people. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put your clientele's transformations out there. You got to put your transformation out there if you have one. You got to put your story out there. The more that you put your story out there with people, and the more that you genuinely start to really push everything that you're about training-wise, and you stay authentic.
And you have to be also one of those guys where, you need something? Well, I got a guy for that. I got a guy for that. Because, I mean, like, when I was doing all those 100-milers, though, so, like, I don't remember what part of the story I got to, but I ended up running 35 100-milers in 10 months, and that's why I needed the hip surgery.
The hip surgery.
But while I was doing that, I had if you're familiar with Performax, Armand, the owner, took care of me, and he treated me like 3 times a week in between that. Shout
out to Performax, by the way.
Yeah, and he sponsored me for a lot of the runs and stuff while I was doing that. And anytime anybody had an issue, I referred them to him, though, because also, too, he's not like your generic physical therapist that puts you in the corner and ignores you and has you do exercise. This dude gets in there, he does the cupping, the blading, the deep
everything
tissue
that's
massage.
Needed for your recovery.
He's actually referred to as the Punisher because he'll do whatever he can to release that muscle, and it'll hurt.
All right, I love to hear that.
But at the same time, though, like, he goes above and beyond. And I ran into him in I've known him since about 2006, because he was one of the original members of the Gold's Gym in Islip, and I was I was like the first trainer there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, like I literally sold the first personal training package there, like September 30th of 2006.
That's crazy that the place is still there.
Yeah,
it's such a hidden location.
Oh yeah,
it's so hidden. That place would do so much better if it just had better advertisement. But
I ran into him at a race. I think it was a Raymond Downey 5K in Deer Park. Mm-hmm. It's a tribute to a firefighter who was in 9/11 and everything.
Right.
But I did that race, and I stopped by his 10th stretch, and he goes to me, he's like, "Well, how come you haven't been by my office yet? I always do what I can to treat athletes." So I told him, I'm just like, "Look, I don't really have any money." He's like, "Look, dude, just come down and just share me on social media or whatever. I'll help you out." So so initially I did have an injury in my foot. I rolled my right ankle at a Spartan race, and I broke my talus bone. It's chipped. Sometimes it still jams up, but I know I wasn't able to get it fixed because the VA didn't really do anything for me.
Of course.
But yeah,
shout out to you, VA.
Yeah, but I did it mile 1 of the Jersey Ultra Beast, and I still finished the remaining 30 miles and came back out and did the Beast the next day. So I did that on a broken foot, but that's another story. But
Jesus Christ, I feel I gotta have you back on here again.
Oh, dude, like most podcasts, I do run an average of 2 hours or so.
I definitely do want to have you on after the races, though. After the 50K rucks.
Yeah.
After 11 of those, obviously recover for the week or two, and then
Oh no, I'm probably gonna be right back to work because I need it.
then you could like
Yeah,
we'll pick
you know,
we'll pick up and talk about
yeah.
the experience just because
I still have rent to pay and everything.
I'm sure you're gonna have plenty of stories from that time frame for that as well.
Yeah.
But real quick before we start to wrap things up, though, wanted you to just talk to the camera real quick. Tell them how they can help you out. Where can they donate the money? Sponsorships, how they can help out with that. And then we have one more question at the end.
Okay, probably I don't have the link off the top of my head. It's
He'll send me over the
Operation-
link, and I'll post it in the
Yeah.
description down below. And then I'll also attach
It's
the
like
link to
operationvest.com/campaign/Billy Richards or some variant of that. I'm not going to make you guys remember that.
text me over the link, and then I'll copy that
Yeah.
same link, and I'll post it in the description in the video down below. So it's just easy access to the video.
Yeah. But the best way that you guys can help me out is just like follow me on Instagram or Facebook or whatever.
And what's your Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram is Billy the Ultra Beast. It's one word. And then Facebook is just Billy Richards, and follow my main profile, the one with the blue check, because I have a couple of other ones that were made for other tasks that I no longer use, so you won't be able to get a hold of me there.
Now, the last question I usually ask now, what is one piece of advice that you can give to anyone on here? It doesn't have to be fitness related, it doesn't have to be health related. Literally just a piece of advice or pieces of advice that you can give to anybody watching right now in regards to anything.
In regards to anything, I guess the biggest thing is just to like find a purpose in life, like find something that you truly enjoy and just go after it. You know, I mean,
you're finding that this is your purpose.
Yeah, it's gone in and out, but for the most part though, like just the the communities I've been a part of, and like just running with the flag has like drawn me to like so many like good things as far as like raising money for charity, and like various other tasks and everything. It's just brought awareness, and it's
Listen, guys, for the man that helps out a lot of the people, let's try to help him out and get him to where he needs to go, and make sure that he's taken care of throughout this entire experience that he's got going on in 17 days. Brother, man, I appreciate you coming down. I really enjoyed our conversation. We're definitely going to have you down again, and we're going to go over what happened over those 11 days. And also, definitely just going to constantly, every now and then, just having you on again, because
absolutely. Anytime you need it.
It's great conversations, but also you have a lot of the experience that I'm looking to raise awareness about, especially in the veteran community.
Yeah,
because it's a community that is, I personally feel, is like there's constant like awareness raised, but there's never awareness done. Like the things that
there's
raised,
never anything done.
There's never actions behind the awareness that's raised. So the fact that you're creating the actions behind it all is still a major, not only just pat on the back, but a major salute from all the like veterans who are genuinely needing someone like yourself. For one, the motivation to show that like you can still do this shit. Like you're in your 40s and your body's like not in the most perfect condition, but you are literally still doing the hardest things.
But you can always work with what you got.
Yeah.
I'm going to be blatantly obvious. I mean, like, I'm not going to go out there and beat, like, the best 20-year-old out there anymore.
No one's. You're past that point.
But at the same time, though, like, you could always accomplish something. You know what I'm saying?
The fact you're still doing the shit that you're doing now in your 40s is mind-blowing, because you have people in their 20s who won't even think about doing any of this shit.
And just consider age a number. Age is just a mindset. I'm probably going to paraphrase this because I don't remember the quote directly, but you know who Mike O'Hearn is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's actually got some fairly decent, quotes though. And, he had one quote, and it was off an interview he did on like the Ed Milet show, because I listen to like a lot of Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, like people like that. But he was saying something to the extent though, there's two different things. There's science and then there's heart, and heart can beat science anytime.
I believe that.
You know, because
I firmly believe that.
That dude with even with the stuff he does, he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he's still incline pressing like 405 for reps. He still like runs.
I was on his program when I first started really becoming serious into the training world. I was actually part of his Titan crew for a little while, where we would do the Facebook Live check-ins and then, you know, just talk some shit and all that stuff too as well. So Michael Hearn's got a great belief system as far as, and also some great speeches and overall. Someone like him, and then also C.T. Fletcher too as well. I use C.T. Fletcher as a major role model in the industry, from someone who literally nothing, like bricks of nothing, to accomplishing, becoming nearly one of the strongest men in the world. But then also going through what he went through with his heart surgery.
Oh yeah, and I remember hearing about that when it happened. That was quite a while ago too.
And he's still here today, God bless.
Oh yeah.
You know, but then like I said before, there's so much limitation in this generation due to the fact that people don't think that they can do what they can do, or they can't do what they did when they were 20s, 30s, or even their 40s. When the reality is, no, you shouldn't be doing what you were doing in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, but you should be doing what should be benefiting your body now.
You're not going to do exactly what you did in your 20s, 30s,
no, but
whatever,
that doesn't mean you still can't lift
you
heavy.
can still do versions of it. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can still, you know, you just have to factor in things. You know what I'm saying? Okay, your recovery is a little longer, so just take an extra day off. But you can still, you know, train, you know, you just compensate for, you know, you work with what you got.
Exactly.
But you don't give up. You know, don't ever give up.
No, especially when you have the opportunity to continue to fight. And if you really are physically unable to completely fight, then you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only time that I can honestly say that you are fully, like, you have the tubes in you, they're getting ready to pull the plug, then you literally can't do anything about that. But if you still have a pulse, if you still have your heart, you still have your ability to breathe, you still have an ability to move. Yeah. There's an ability to make some changes.
When I was 39, I was working out at Fit Life, and this one member came up to me. He remembered me from Golds. And, you know, he comes up to me, he's like, "Man, you're still killing it, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." But he's like, "Yeah, man, you know, I used to be like that, but then when I turned 30, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Well, I'm 39. And he's like, "Wait, you're what?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 39. It's like you could absolutely still keep killing it." You know, he's like, "Oh," and then the excuses started rolling down. And it's
well, no, I got this, I got that, I can't do this. And it's like, well, maybe you can't do it now. But if we, you know, cut the shit a little bit and you come in here a couple more times, then you'll be surprised by what we'll be able to do.
Well, that's the thing, though, because also, too, people expect immediate results, and that's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? No matter, you know, and I always tell people, like with the treadmill, for example, right? Okay, so like, you know, let's say you want to get to the point where you're burning a little, and you know, you don't burn shit if you're walking flat. No. You know, but like, let's say you're walking at 3 miles an hour on the treadmill, and every week you bump that incline up by like half a grade. Over the course of like 30 weeks, before you know it, now you got a grade of 15, and because you're bumping up a half a grade each time, your body doesn't even recognize it. You know what I'm saying, though? So you just, you know, it's what you call progressive overload. I mean, it's very similar to the
weight training, kettlebell training. It's a very similar training mentality. It's the steps, taking one step at a time.
And that's all it is.
You don't automatically jump all the way to the top of the steps. You have to take that one step at a time.
And that's what happens to people. I mean, we're all guilty of it a little bit too, though. You know, you try to progress too quick. You know,
there's days where I thought I could have fucking done the single hand clean with a 203-pound kettlebell, and immediately got humbled. So but listen, dude, I truly do appreciate the time, man.
Absolutely,
this is awesome. This is a great conversation. Best of luck on your full mission that you got going up.
Yep.
Any support, anything that you guys need, anything that you need. Not you guys, obviously, solo mission here.
Yeah.
Anything that you need. Obviously.
Solo mission, but it's benefiting somebody. So,
yeah. You know. I'm going to reach out to also, like I said, a couple other people as well who own their businesses and see if they can also chip in and sponsor this event for you.
Excellent.
And guys, again, I'm going to have the link in the bio down below, or the link in the description for where you guys can donate or support. And also I'll have his Instagram and the Facebook in the link down below. And honestly, Brother Man, this is awesome. And I truly can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Definitely.